Good.
You guys, I guess, blitzed more Saturday night than in the previous couple of opponents had some success doing it with Wake, but your blitz numbers appear to have picked up in the recent games leading into that. You've had more success with it. Can you tell us why you're blitzing a little bit more and what you need to get from your guys and have more confidence in the blitzing?
That was by design for this game for sure. Obviously, to try to keep them off rhythm. When Wake had struggled in the past game, it was usually because people were bringing a lot of pressure. Sam Hartman is just a great quarterback, so if you're not getting that type of pressure, it can be a long night. So that was by design. I felt like we got more pressure, even though if you look at the stats, there's going to say there was one, but that's because they throw the ball so close to the line of scrimmage, where we actually did get some sacks, but it was probably right at the line of scrimmage, right? So the pressuring was by design, and we're going to have to do some more of that. And again, we got to help our coverage in the back end. And so, it'll be different by game plan. It's not just, you don't just go in every game and say, oh boy, this is what we're going to do all day long. But in that particular game, for us to be able to, get some and create some negative plays, get them behind the chains some, that's what we had to do. So that was the whole game plan Saturday night.
How much does I don't want to say trust, but the ability of the guys in the back end to cover play into how you match up?
It definitely plays a part, and we do our best to make sure that we don't leave them by themselves a lot. But inevitably, that's the job of a defensive back, right? Sometimes you're on islands by yourself and you have to cover. Obviously, you don't want to do that all day, every day to any secondary, but there's got to be a balance in there between when you're aggressive and when they have to hold up in coverage. And sometimes you can be aggressive and, not necessarily leave those guys on islands by themselves either. So we were able to do a little bit of both Saturday night, but that definitely comes into play as part of the equation on how much you pressure.
Going into last week, it was sort of piecemeal in the defensive front with the guys out. How do you think that group fared against Wake?
I feel like we played well at times. I feel like our rotation was what we needed to do and how we needed to rotate it. We'll have to look at that every week moving forward on exactly what that looks like. But for the most part, I felt like it was good. We got some pressure. Some guys that Kamen Rucker had a really, really good football game, I feel like, and some of our inside guys played well too. So, but we're going to have to look at that every week on what offensively, what are we seeing? What's our main priority to stop? Obviously, you can say, well, stopping the run, stopping the pass, you got to stop them both. But some people are not equally good at both, so you got to take away what they do best. But moving forward, we're going to have to address that every week.
Notice in the fourth quarter, you took out Grimes and Kelly and put in Harvey and Cavazos, which in like for non-package. What goes into that decision? Is that you making the call? Is that Coach Warren on the field? Is there specific staffs?
Yes. So we're always talking through that. We're always talking about it, talking through it, and a lot of different things go into play. Sometimes it's number of plays being played. How long is the drive? Do we feel like guys are getting winded? So it's not always just one, entity on why we switch out, but we're always in contact with, all right, who are we going in with this series? Are we going to make a change right now? What are we doing in terms of, package-wise? Where are we in the package? If it's a nickel, where we're typically in that a lot. When we're in that a lot, then, it does come into play. How many snaps have they been out there and things of that nature.
And Ken Kelly, obviously huge interception. It seems like he's, he gets, I'm going to say this, but like bashed online for missing tackles, for being out of position. He's had kind of an up and down season, but they come with a huge interception.
Yeah, it was very timely for Cam. There's no question about it. And Cam's played some really, really good games. I think Cam's been inconsistent. He's not the only one, but There's times when he's played really, really well. There's times when we would like to see him play more consistent, whether that's in coverage, open field tackling. But a critical time in that game, that was a game changer. And he did a great job of reading the quarterback's eyes and cutting in front of the ball. So, like everybody on our defense, he's had some really, really good, moments. And, again, that was as big as we've had all year. And then there's some things that we got to continue to work on and improve as well.
How about his ability, Gene, just to follow up on that, what Ross asked, to not let someone, got burnt on a couple of balls over the top. And I know the slow mesh, I'm sure, is a problem. But, this ability not to just, check out mentally and be like, oh, I think he was on the sideline saying, this is still my game or something like that. Does that take a special personality or mentality to be able to flush it and keep going?
That's the job description. When you play back there, that's what you sign up for, right? And, the hardest thing for a secondary guy is that if you get beat and everybody sees it, it's always assumed it's your fault. And that's not necessarily the case, right? There was always something else that may or may not have happened, right? Now, sometimes, it's glaring, but that's the life of a DB. And you can't live that same play twice. You can't let a play beat you twice. So if we have anybody back there that gets affected by getting beat and then all of a sudden they go back out there and play scared, they're not going to be out there. So you have to move on fast. You have to move on when you make a great play, and you have to move on when you don't make a great play. So that's the life of a DB. So to answer your question, no, I fully expect Cam to go back, regroup this week with whatever he wasn't, good at, and improve, just like everybody on our defense. The difference is the defensive tackle screws up as much as a DB, and nobody ever knows it, right? Because there's 10 guys or 7 guys behind him. So just a different life that they live, and they have to, you have to deal with the good and the bad, and I think our guys do that pretty well.
How do you coach the eye discipline that we talk about every week with guys like Cam Kelly and the other guys right there?
Mm-hmm.
How is that coached?
How is
that across
Well, again, there's no science to it, right? I think the biggest negative for a DB is to do nothing but stare in the backfield, because there's so many things happening right now with their coverages, with where their eyes are supposed to be. We always talk to these guys about action to coverage, meaning there's always an action, and we see that action, and then our eyes always have to get to our coverage. So, and then there's some coverages where our eyes are literally just on our coverage, and it's different. Safety's eyes are a lot of times different than corner's eyes. Corner's eyes are different than linebacker's eyes, right? And as you get closer down to the defense, everybody's eyes become more centrally located on something. So, for example, a defensive tackle is going to look at the man right in front of him, right? You're not going to fight Mike Tyson looking over here. And that's what you got in front of you, right? So, but everything is about eye discipline, and everything is about, what is the coverage? What does the defense ask you to do? And there's no rocket science to it. You're either doing it or you're not doing it. And if you're not doing it enough, then you're not going to be playing. But in general, if you are a disciplined defense and you're a disciplined player, then you have great eye control. And if you don't, you don't. So we coach it. We talk about it every day. We coach it off of film. And, the players got to execute it.
Gene, what would you say makes Kanan Rucker so effective? It almost seems like, you can look at him being undersized and a lot of reasons why he shouldn't be as good as he is, but he always seems to make plays.
Yeah, he is. He's a natural football player, first of all. He gets the game. He plays with great leverage and power. His practice habits are outstanding. I mean, he is practicing as hard as he can go every single day, and it carries over in the game. But he's a powerful guy, and he's got really, really good suddenness, really good short area quickness, which makes him, be able to take on blocks and really be, stout and hold the point in the run game. And then in the pass game, because of his, he's not a 6'4", real long guy. He's a 6'2" guy, and maybe a little taller, but just really powerful. So he strikes blocks and he gets under people's pads, and he can use his leverage and his low gravity or low center of gravity right now to really work those offensive tackles who are 6'6" as well. So, and it's a knack. He's got a knack for it. He just knows how to do it. He knows how to manipulate blockers in pass rush. So even when he's not getting a sack, you'll see him a lot getting a lot of pressure, and he's backing tackles up into the quarterback's lap, which makes them nervous. So, but he definitely has a knack and a trait. Some you can coach and some you can't, meaning that he does have a natural ability just to, he understands leverage and power, and he's a really good football player.
Along similar lines, Gene, I agree with you. I'm just looking at the numbers here again. I thought you guys had way more like pressures and quarterback hurries and everything, but Javari Ritzy, like for whatever he is, 290 pounds, like is he maybe surprising as a pass rusher? It seems like when he bounces out to end, sometimes you see him flying in there, like is he a better pass rusher than maybe you would expect for a guy who, I guess, technically is an interior lineman,
Right.
or plays there? Like,
Well, that's the beauty of a guy like Ritzy, because he's very athletic. He is 290 plus pounds, and for us to be able to move him outside, first of all, is that's a unicorn. It's really hard to get big guys out there on the edge, and he's able to do that well. He definitely has some twitch to him, so he can rush the passer from out there. The luxury with him is there's probably not a place on the interior 4 units or 4 positions on the defensive line he couldn't play. He could play nose, he could play 3, he could play power end, probably move him out to jack if I wanted to teach him how to do some things in coverage. But just a very big athletic body and really smart. And it takes a lot to be able to learn all of those positions because there's a lot that goes into that. But he's just one of those guys that athletically he's very gifted. He understands leverage. He knows how to rush the passer. And, we're lucky to be able to have the flexibility of a guy like him that can go in and out because that doesn't happen everywhere with guys that are 6'4", 290.
Gene, you're 2 for 3 on the ACC championship game appearances during John Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? It's pretty good percentage there.
Yeah, I'll take it. No, I'm excited that we're in a position like this. It's been a very interesting and fun ride for sure. I think again, like everything, as we warn the players, right? Like we're all excited about this, and it's a really good accomplishment. But there's so much in front of us that we can't really look to that. We have to really look to the game that we have this week, and then the game that we have next week, and then we'll finally get to that. But it's really good to be to have clinched that spot this early, and now we got to play like we deserve it. And but it's been fun for me. I mean, obviously 2015 was the last time we were there, and it was great to be a part of that, and it'll be fun again.
Also, let me get your opinion on Drake May. You've gone against a lot of quarterbacks. You've coached a Heisman candidate in Cam Newton. What have you been impressed about with Drake?
I'm going to say I've probably had 5 first-rounders on my team before. In my career, I've had 5 first-round quarterbacks on the same team that I coached, whether I was an assistant or a head coach. And some really good ones that weren't. Colt McCoy, I think, was a 2nd round or 3rd round, but a great quarterback. Anyway, I've been around a lot of great college quarterbacks. Drake May is special. He's special. He's got, Phil does a great job coaching him. The scheme is great with him. He's got things you can't teach, and I've been around the ones that are probably considered some of the greatest in college football history, and they had those same things. They had the things you couldn't teach. They had an innate ability to, see the field, the innate ability to escape things and extend plays. Great quarterbacks are great decision makers, and they have great accuracy. Now you can guru everything up about all the things that make up a great quarterback. If they can make great decisions and they got great accuracy, they got a chance to be really, really special. And he's got all of that, and it's really amazing as a young guy the skill set and the traits that he has, and we go against it every day in practice. But he reminds me a lot of the other great ones I've been around, and he's special.
You get a chance to watch another game, or are you
Not really. I mean, I don't really, I look up and I see some things, but trust me, I have my own battles to fight during those games. I'll watch him when the season ends.
Mac was telling us that, he was saying, like, last year he would try to go over to the defense and stir them up, is what he said. But with like a Cedric Gray and a Powell Eccles, that the leadership just happens with those guys. And he said, he was like, I know they're going to practice hard in the morning and play hard on Saturdays. I know that. Like, when you have those guys displaying like the leadership type of thing, the innate things, like you're saying, like, how do you approach that as a coach who's in charge of it? You just let them go, or do you guide that? Do you nurture it? Do you listen to what they're saying and grade what they're saying to their guys? Like, just how do you approach that when you have guys like that who seem to be such natural leaders,
Right.
and people are listening to them?
They are. And it's first of all, it's a luxury because it doesn't happen everywhere. It's really rare to have one. Not really rare. It's common to have usually one, but to have two or more. You just used Powers said as the example. Two guys with a great voice, but not only is it what they verbally say and do, it's what people watch them do in practice, how they prepare off the field, in the meeting rooms, spending extra time to come over and do football because they love it. It's great to have those type of leaders, and they're rare. And so when things aren't going well for us, these guys are a calming force in that. Now, part of it, they've grown. I feel like they've grown over the year. And I think that, in the off season and some things that Coach Brown and some of the guys staff-wise have done to, nurture leadership. And we talk to them about it all the time. And we are constantly in defensive meetings talking about what it looks like to lead, what it looks like to, move forward when things aren't good, all of those things. Had these same conversations yesterday, again. But it's really good because every single week when things are getting hairy, we've been in a lot of close games, more so than we would like to be in. But obviously we've pulled out a lot of them, and we pulled a lot of them out when it hadn't looked good at all. And we've been able to do that. You can't do that without the leadership that you see and that you hear about, and it's real. So going over and, having to stir them up on the sidelines or whatever, the conversation was, they don't really need that. They've got the leadership. They don't ever panic. They don't ever panic. They know when it's good. They know when it's bad. But more importantly, they know when and how to fix it. And it's been a pretty opportunistic defense. The fourth quarter, we didn't give up a point. And somehow or another we were able to, close out 3 straight drives. Wasn't always pretty. But we're looking for results, and so, but again, all of that comes down to being able to have young guys that are mature, they lead, they don't panic, and the two guys with Set and Power, I don't know that I've been around two that have been better at it.
Gene, looking at Georgia Tech's offense, obviously very different from the last time you were here when they were in the triple option, but what are some of the major talking points that you're going to use with the defense this week with regards to that?
Well, again, Georgia Tech, before their quarterback got hurt, they had some really, really good wins. This is still a very good football team. They still got very good players. Obviously, the question is who's going to be quarterback. We don't really know that yet. But it's productive. They got, they throw the ball well and they run the ball well. It's just a matter of, who's going to be at quarterback and, what are they going to do and how are they going to attack us? We don't know that because every week they have a different plan on how they go about trying to attack defenses. So a lot of it's going to be us lining up and saying, all right, let's see what their idea is this week, and let's see who their quarterback is. If Sims plays, that's a very different offense right now in terms of what you have to do to defend it and stop it. You know, we got to see what they come out in. But got some really good, tall, big, athletic receivers. Got some really good running backs. Got some good tight ends. So it's business as usual, and it's never really about them anyway. It's really about us. So the message won't change.
You guys good?
Awesome, guys. Thank y'all.